I've been blessed. I'll be the first to tell you. I have a great wife, a great family. They're very supportive of everything I do. And that has allowed me to do so much, to be able to go everywhere and speak to everybody. Young people, I tell you, you're important. You mean something. Young people are tomorrow's doctors, lawyers, politicians.
On Sunday, the basketball world lost one of its most respected figures. Lenny Wilkens passed away at 88, surrounded by family and loved ones. His family didn't release the cause of death, but what really mattered wasn't how he left. It was how much he gave while he was here. Lenny's story wasn't built on flash or ego. He wasn't the kind of player who dunked for the highlight reel or screamed after every bucket. Instead, he built his career on patience, intelligence, and leadership. The quiet kind that turns good teams into great ones. During his 15-year playing career, he became one of the sharpest point guards the NBA had ever seen. A 9-time All-Star who led the league in assists twice. But it wasn't just about the stats. When you watch Lenny play, you could see the game running through his mind like a chess match. He didn't just see the next move, he saw the next 3. And then, when most players would have been happy to retire and call it a career, Lenny stepped into something even bigger: coaching. He started out as a player-coach, juggling both roles at once. 3 seasons with the Seattle SuperSonics and another with the Portland Trail Blazers. Imagine that, calling plays for teammates 1 minute and hitting a clutch shot the next. It wasn't easy, but for Lenny it was natural. He was always a teacher, even before anyone called him coach. Eventually, he moved full-time to the sidelines. And that's where his calm, strategic brilliance changed everything. In 1979, he led the Seattle SuperSonics to their first and only NBA championship, turning a hungry city into believers. That win wasn't just about basketball, it was about identity. Seattle didn't just have a team, it had hope. To this day, fans still talk about that championship like it happened yesterday. Over the next few decades, Lenny Wilkens became a legend in a suit. He coached the Sonics, the Blazers, the Cavs, the Hawks, the Raptors, and the Knicks. And no matter where he went, one thing never changed: the respect he commanded. He wasn't a screamer. He didn't need to throw clipboards or get technicals to make a point. His players listened because they trusted him. He coached 2,487 games, the most in NBA history, and won 1,332 of them, ranking him among the top 3 all-time. And then came the crowning moment of his coaching career: the 1996 Olympics. Lenny led the U.S. men's basketball team to a gold medal, showing the world that leadership isn't about power, it's about connection. When he stood there, watching those players drape gold around their necks, it wasn't just another win, it was validation for a lifetime of doing things the right way. What makes Lenny's story even more remarkable is how few people have ever reached his level of dual greatness. Only 5 men in history have been inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame as both a player and a coach. And Lenny's name sits proudly among giants like John Wooden, Bill Russell, Tom Heinsohn, and Bill Sharman. That's not just a resume, that's a legacy carved in basketball history. Even NBA Commissioner Adam Silver summed it up best. Lenny Wilkens represented the very best of the NBA. As a Hall of Fame player, Hall of Fame coach, and one of the game's most respected ambassadors. He wasn't exaggerating. Just 4 years ago, Lenny was named one of the 75 greatest players and 15 greatest coaches of all time. That's the kind of impact that spans generations. For the people of Seattle, though, Lenny was more than a coach. He was a symbol. The city hasn't had its team since the Sonics were relocated to Oklahoma City in 2008. But Wilkens never stopped being their basketball godfather. His voice, his mentorship, and his passion for the game kept that flame alive, reminding fans that basketball in Seattle wasn't gone, just waiting to return home. Lenny Wilkens taught the world something powerful: that greatness isn't about how loud you are, but how consistent you can be when no one's watching. He showed that leadership is more than giving orders. It's inspiring belief. When people look back at his career, they'll remember the stats, the titles, the Hall of Fame inductions, But what they'll feel is something deeper. The quiet authority of a man who never chased attention, yet earned it from everyone who crossed his path. Lenny Wilkens didn't just leave behind a record book. He left behind a blueprint for what it means to lead with grace, to teach with patience, and to live with purpose. And even though he's gone, his lessons, like his legacy, will never stop echoing through the game he helped shape. Lenny Wilkens. He wasn't born into fame, money, or even a path toward basketball greatness. In fact, Lenny Wilkens grew up in a neighborhood where most dreams stayed just that, dreams. Born in Brooklyn's Bedford-Stuyvesant in 1937, he was a small, quiet kid, barely 6 feet tall, left-handed, and trying to find his place in a city that didn't make things easy. His dad, a chauffeur, passed away when Lenny was only 5. His mom worked long hours in a candy factory just to keep things together. If you were watching back then, nothing about young Lenny screamed future Hall of Famer. He didn't even make his high school basketball team until his senior year. Most kids would have given up by then, but not Lenny. His story wasn't about being handed opportunities. It was about creating them. The turning point came because someone believed in him, his parish priest. That priest wrote a letter to Providence College, asking the athletic director to give this overlooked Brooklyn kid a shot. And that one act of faith changed everything. Lenny didn't just get in, he thrived. He became Providence's first big basketball star, a 2-time All-American who carried the team to its first national invitation tournament appearances in 1959 and 1960. It was the kind of rise that felt cinematic, the underdog who no one saw coming. Years later, Providence retired his jersey, the first player in school history to earn that honor. By then, everyone knew what the priest had seen all along. This wasn't just another athlete. This was someone special. The NBA took notice too. In 1960, the St. Louis Hawks drafted Wilkens 6th overall, right in the same draft class as legends like Oscar Robertson and Jerry West. But even then, Lenny's story wasn't smooth sailing. His second season was cut short after just 20 games because of military service. A lot of players might have faded out of the spotlight after that, but when he returned in 1962, he picked up right where he left off, leading the Hawks to 6 straight playoff runs and finishing second only to Wilt Chamberlain in MVP voting. That's right, Wilt 100 points in a game Chamberlain. In 1968, Lenny was traded to a brand new franchise, the Seattle SuperSonics. And that's where things got legendary. In his very first season, he averaged 22 points, 8 assists, and 6 rebounds. Basically, he was doing everything. Seattle fans fell in love instantly. He wasn't flashy, but he was smart, controlled, and confident. The kind of player who made the whole team better. Then came the twist. Before the 1969-70 season, the Sonics general manager, Dick Vertlieb, asked Wilkens to take on a completely new challenge. Become the team's player coach. Lenny didn't jump at the offer. He hesitated. We went around and around, he later admitted. I said no at first, but eventually he took the leap thinking, what the heck? I've got nothing to lose. That decision changed NBA history. By his 3rd season as player coach, Wilkens led the Sonics to a 47-35 record, their first winning season ever. The man literally turned a struggling team into contenders while still putting up all-star numbers. But then came another shakeup. In 1972, the Sonics traded him to the Cleveland Cavaliers, a move that made Seattle fans furious. You'd think that kind of heartbreak might slow a player down, but not Lenny. In Cleveland, he averaged over 20 points and 8 assists and even made another all-star team. He kept showing everyone that leadership and skill didn't depend on location, it depended on heart. By 1974, he wrapped up his playing career with the Portland Trail Blazers as a player coach, then stepped into full-time coaching. It was the start of a second career that would make him just as legendary as his first. When the SuperSonics struggled again in 1977, they called him back, and this time he was ready. Lenny took over mid-season after a rough 5-17 start. That same year, he led them all the way to the NBA Finals. They lost in 7 games, but the following season, he brought them right back and finished the job. The 1979 Seattle SuperSonics won the city's first and only NBA championship. That win wasn't just about basketball, it was about redemption. for the city, for the team, and for Lenny himself. He'd gone from being traded away to bringing home the biggest trophy in the game. And when people asked him how he connected with his players so well, his answer was simple and deeply human. "I know what young players are going through," he said. "I understand their backgrounds. I didn't come from anything either, so I've been there." That's the kind of empathy you can't fake. It's why players respected him not just as a coach, but as a mentor and a man. Former players like Detlef Schrempf called him a leader in the community, someone who cared as much about people as he did about winning. Steve Kerr, who played under Wilkens in Cleveland, described him as an incredible man. That's high praise coming from a guy who's now one of the most successful coaches in today's NBA. Even the modern game hasn't forgotten him. Just before a recent Warriors-Pacers matchup, both teams paused for a moment of silence to honor Wilkens' passing. Indiana's coach, Rick Carlisle, said it best. It was the right thing to do. Because when you lose someone like Lenny Wilkens, you're not just losing a player or a coach. You're losing a part of basketball's soul. What made Lenny's journey so powerful wasn't just the wins or the accolades. It was what he represented. He proved that greatness doesn't come from privilege or hype. It comes from persistence, humility, and believing in yourself even when nobody else does. He wasn't supposed to make the team. He wasn't supposed to get the scholarship. He wasn't supposed to become a Hall of Famer. And yet he did all of it. Lenny Wilkens' story isn't just basketball history. It's a life lesson. You don't have to start with much to leave behind something unforgettable. You just have to keep going.